Welcome everyone to the fifth annual Omer Aliyah, a 7-week spiritual boot camp of personal elevation, or simply known as TOA. My name is Neuriel Shore, and I'm the founder. Thank you for tuning into the Chesed seminar of our 7-week empowerment series. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our many community partners and to thank and recognize our sponsors who are part of this grand vision. Suzanne Schweitzer, Fred and Susie Toczek, Josh Reef, and Charlene Venner in memory of Nathan, Shirley, and Philip Venner, Zechron Livracha. For more information about being a community partner, sponsor, or TOA in general, visit omeraliyah.com. Before we begin, a couple of housekeeping remarks. This seminar is being recorded and will be uploaded to the Omer Aliyah YouTube channel. I will then stop the recording, after which we will have an opportunity for open and confidential conversation. May Hashem bless the Omer Aliyah and all who are involved so that we may experience individual, national, and global Geula speedily in our days. So what exactly is this journey called the Omer Aliyah that we're embarking on? Because it's not simply self-improvement. It's not productivity. It's not spiritual performance. On the most personal level, this is an individual journey about revelation and elevation. It's not so much about achieving something external, not about becoming something or someone new, but about revealing that which is already within. There are layers and blockages called klipot that distance us from our true selves, from others, and from a stronger connection to the divine. They can accumulate over time through distraction, bad habits, fear, ego, survival mode, a distorted value system, and more. So this period is a spiritual scrub of these klipot, a detox, a refinement. The light is already within. Throughout these 7 weeks, we are strengthening the vessels of blessing that we were meant to live as. And the structure of this journey is not random. Based on very ancient Torah, the 7 weeks correspond to 7 sfirot, very deep spiritual archetypes that pertain to the human condition and to all of existence. And each of these 7 sfirot has a corresponding midah, or character attribute, a tangible way of operating in our day-to-day lives, ways we love, ways we restrain and find strength, ways we harmonize and pursue balance, ways we endure, ways we humble ourselves and feel gratitude, ways we connect and birth new realities, ways we lead. Each week, we increase our capacity in these dimensions. We calibrate ourselves like tuning an instrument to the higher path we were meant to live by. This inner alignment, and every single day of this 49-day journey has a unique message and theme. No 2 days are alike. They are in essence 49 unique gateways. But the journey is not only personal, it's national, pertaining to the entire Jewish people. We are reliving an ancient story and journey. Thousands of years ago, God liberated us from Egypt, not just geographically, but spiritually. We left constriction, we left slavery, we left a culture of degradation, filth, and idolatry. But freedom is not simply a release from slavery. It's not only the story of Passover, that's just the beginning of the story. Freedom requires structure and mission, and that requires preparation. There were 7 weeks between Egypt and Mount Sinai where we received the Torah. 7 weeks of a journey of refinement and elevation. 7 weeks of becoming the kind of people who could receive the infinite light of the Torah and embrace our eternal mission. That is the national journey we are reliving. It's a journey that has been buried in Jewish consciousness for a very long time, and now together we are bringing it back to the surface. On the second night of Passover, we start counting the Omer with a special blessing and begin the ascent to Sinai. And the culmination is the holiday of Shavuot, not just the anniversary of receiving the Torah, but the real-time embrace of our national mission to be a light for the world. But here's the key. A nation cannot serve as a light unless its individuals are microcosms of that same light. So this seminar, this boot camp, this journey is about both your personal midot, our mission, your personal refinement, our revelation. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to uncover and liberate who you already are, and in doing so, to activate the collective soul of our people. And if we do this well, and if we do it sincerely, then by the time we reach Shavuot, we will not just commemorate Sinai, we will be ready to live with the light of our Creator, bringing down blessing from above and elevate the entire planet. So now, let's dive into this first week of Chesed, loving kindness. I'm going to do three things in the seminar as it relates to Chesed. The first will be a guided meditation in which we explore different facets of our lives as they pertain to Chesed. The second will be a PowerPoint presentation exploring practical themes of each of the days of Chesed using the framework of the book Dance of the Omer by Rabbi Benji Elson. This is the text that was the spark for this entire grassroots movement. And finally, I will share a personal story as it pertains to Chesed and the Omer Aliyah. Let's begin with the meditation. Please take a moment to, if you haven't done so already, to get a pencil and a piece of paper for later when we do some free flow writing. It's helpful to think of this not as taking class notes, but rather allowing your thoughts and feelings to flow naturally onto the paper. If fully present, you will experience different levels of consciousness throughout. At this time, I ask you to silence your phones and do whatever you can to not be interrupted. So we'll take a moment for those who have not yet retrieved their pencil and paper to do so. Okay, here we go. Please close your eyes. Take several slow and deep breaths. In through your nose, hold, and out through your mouth. In through your nose, hold, out through your mouth. In through your nose, hold, out through your mouth. As you breathe, notice any tension you may have in your body. Anywhere there is tightness or pain. Don't judge the feeling, simply acknowledge it and give it kind permission to be with you. Now, I want you to imagine that you are journeying across a hot desert. You are not there randomly. Rather, you are on a quest to find the legendary tent of Abraham and Sarah. Legendary because it is known to be a space of respite, a space of rest filled with love and truth. You see, part of you is here, but you are not now. You are almost 4,000 years in the past. On your way to the tent, you traverse rock, sand, and sky. The desert is a place of whispering secrets. And if you quiet your mind and open your heart, those secrets will emerge for you, like a wellspring in an oasis of vision. While this desert is a place of transition, not meant to be settled permanently, you feel a settling presence accompanying you. This presence is the consciousness called Hashem, your deepest self knows to be true. It is your North Star, your path, your sacred destiny, and in this moment, you allow yourself to be guided by this consciousness. 3 days and 3 nights pass. One hot, fiery star during the day, and 10,000 twinkling stars at night. Finally, on the 3rd day, you see it in the distance. The tent. Abraham and Sarah's tent. Abraham is outside of it looking for you. He spots you, smiles, and waves to make sure you see him. You wave back. Minutes later, you finally arrive. Now inside the tent, Abraham and Sarah look into your eyes, smile, and hug you. They have been waiting for you. You see, you are not simply a guest. You are in your grandparents' home, your first ever grandparents, and they love you with all their heart. They invite you to sit on a large rug and to lean back on the plush pillows. Servants come to wash your feet, give you tea, and provide a platter of dates, crispy nuts, sweet cake, dried fruit, and other delicacies. They fan you with the giant palm leaves, and immediately all the tension of the journey starts to melt away. You take a moment to look around and delight in seeing all of the beautiful tapestries, purple, burgundy, turquoise. Several of them are black yet glow with white constellation-like patterns. They twinkle in your eye. You see, this is not only a tent. This is a portal of unlimited potential, all built on a foundation of chesed, of loving kindness. It's filled with the creative energy of the universe that is waiting patiently to be manifested, to become real. But first, you, Abraham and Sarah, catch up as grandparents and grandchild. They ask you about your life in the present time, are curious about the world you live in, and are filled with pride and joy as they hear about your greatest moments. Saba Avraham, grandfather Avraham, then lovingly takes your hands in his ancient ones. They are rugged on top, yet his palms are soft and gentle. You feel the warmth of his hands. He asks you kindly to sit and to close your eyes, for he is here to help you arrive at the moments that will change your life for the better. Like traversing the stars across the sky, in this moment, he is your soul guide. We are here for you to experience Chesed, he begins. We are here for you to live loving kindness, for it is loving kindness that will heal you and heal our world. But before we speak of others, first we must look inward. He gently nods toward your pencil and says the following. Take your pencil and whatever comes to mind in the moments ahead, write it down. Do not filter, do not judge, let your soul speak. Let us begin with this question. What kindness do you want for yourself? Not what you think you deserve, not what others expect, but what your soul quietly longs for. Avraham waits as you write. Now, what will kindness look like in your relationships? Is it deeper friendships? Is it the courage to be more authentic with others? Is it setting healthier boundaries? Is it allowing yourself to be seen, truly seen without armor? Avraham waits as you write. Now, let's address your livelihood. Where do you need gentleness in your work? Is it clarity? Is it recognition? Is it the bravery to change? Is it permission to rest? What would it look like to treat your livelihood as sacred service? Avraham waits as you write. Nothing is possible without the proper use of the body. How can you show kindness to your body, this vessel that carries your soul? Is it more sleep, nourishing food, movement, healing, less criticism? Can you bless your body instead of judging it? Avraham waits as you write. Now, let's explore your mental faculties. Where does your mind crave kindness? Is it freedom from comparison? Is it permission to learn slower? Is it stimulation, curiosity, time to read, to think, to create? Can you honor the brilliance of your intellect without demanding perfection? Avraham waits as you write. Now, let's go to the heart. Where does your heart need tenderness? Is there grief asking to be acknowledged? Fear asking to be soothed? Joy asking to be expressed? Can you speak to yourself with warmth, patience, and belief in your greatness? Avraham waits as you write. Chesed is not meant to be contained. It must flow. What kindness can you share with others? With your family, how can you bring more presence, more listening, more softness? Avraham waits as you write. With your friends, where can you initiate connection instead of waiting for them to reach out to you? Avraham waits as you write. With Jews in Israel, and around the world. How can your heart stretch just a little wider? Through prayer, through learning, through action, through displays of unity? Avraham waits as you write. With humanity at large, what gift do you carry that the world needs? Avraham waits as you write. And now we turn upward. What kindness can you give to Hashem, to God? Know that he lacks nothing, he needs nothing, and yet he desires you, a relationship, a partnership. Perhaps it is setting aside time each day to speak to him, not necessarily formally, but honestly. Perhaps it's praising his name publicly, not for attention, but as an act of love. Perhaps it's taking one mitzvah and making it truly yours, infusing it with intention, performing it with joy, letting it become your personal offering. Chesed toward Hashem is not for his sake, it's for yours. For when you act in loving kindness toward the source of life, you align yourself with the source. Avraham waits as you write. Now, close your eyes and hear Avraham's final words in this moment. It's time to say goodbye, sweet grandchild, but know that Sarah and I are always here for you, and that you can return to our tent of Chesed, to your tent, whenever you'd like. All you have to do is close your eyes, open your heart, and remember that you were always connected to us, your ancestors, your grandparents. With this message, you can now open your eyes. I hope this meditation was helpful. And as a reminder, the seminar is being recorded, and so you can experience it as many times as you like. Okay, with the meditation portion of the seminar now concluded, we are going to shift gears into some beautiful, amazing, practical content. And I'll share my screen for this PowerPoint presentation. One moment, please. Okay. Okay, so Tikkun Hamidot, repairing our character attributes through Chesed. You can see down below that this is what's called the Eitz Chaim, the tree of life. These are the 10 Sfirot. The journey of Sfirat Omer is a journey specifically through the lower seven. And so when you look only at the lower seven, Chesed is the first one. And the content, the information that we are going to go through is sourced from this incredible book called Dance of the Omer. This was the the seed, the catalyst, the spark, if you will, that ignited this entire grassroots movement that I formed and am continually forming and developing. Uh, in 2021, during the darkness and isolation of COVID, I had the time to be able to really properly focus on the uh, character development aspects of Sfirat Omer, right? The basic obligatory requirement for Sfirat Omer is twofold. It's counting the Omer with the blessing as a part of the Mariv prayer in the evening, and it's also following certain semi-morning practices between Pesach and Lag BaOmer that primarily Lag BaOmer, that have to do with honoring the chapter of our history that has to do with the passing of Rabbi Akiva's 24,000 students because they did not show proper honor to one another. So that's a whole other class into itself. But for much of world Jewry that practices this period of time, those two elements for generations and generations have been the primary identification and ritual observance of these 7 weeks. When this book came out in 2021, I don't believe there's any other Sfirat Omer book quite like Rabbi Benji Elson's Dance of the Omer. It's incredibly in-depth, very mystical yet practical. And as I mentioned, in 2021, in the backdrop of COVID, I had the time and the intention to really dive in. And so at the end of the 49 days, and come Shavuot on the 50th, I was in many ways a very different person. It unlocked so much inside of me, and I had this surge of joy and inspiration based on what I experienced. But I only experienced it as an individual, and I felt compelled to share what I experienced with others. The challenge was that I knew that not everybody learns through text-based learning. And so I had to think of an architecture that was accessible to as many Jews as possible from as many backgrounds as possible, where every person can kind of claim and reclaim this journey on their own terms and to dive in as deep as whatever is comfortable for them. And for those who want to truly dive deep, there's no limit. And so for those who are looking for a transformative journey that's very in depth, I highly recommend this book as well as also the course that Rabbi Benji Ellison offers. So this material I'm about to show you is sourced from this book, and um, uh, every day of every week is a unique combination of the overarching Mida or Sphira and the Mida and Sphira that is within it. So the first day of the week of Chesed is Chesed Shebechesed, loving kindness within loving kindness. So loving kindness squared, so to speak. And the structure of the slides that I'm about to show you for each of these days shows you kind of top level bullet points, what a distorted understanding of what Chesed Bechesed can result in if we don't do it properly, the tikkun, the repair that it achieves, and the ultimate teaching principle in which we can walk away from. So let's go through this. Chesed Shebechesed. It's all about open-hearted generosity without thinking, without calculation, without agendas, just giving for the sake of giving. Allowing life to move through you without overthinking, letting yourself give without self-consciousness, trusting, right? This is a truly relaxed state in which you derive tremendous joy of giving of yourself and whatever that ends up looking like. For those who are hosts in the sense of having people over for meals, right? We've all been to people's homes that are super hosts, where you can see that their hearts are about to explode by how much joy they're deriving from serving you. So they are a living embodiment of Chesed Shebechesed. Now, again, we can take things too far and it can be distorted. So what's a distortion of Chesed Shebechesed? It's overgiving. It's trying to kind of rescue somebody, right? And being a martyr. It's the lack of self boundaries. So again, we always want to be cognizant of what is an authentic version of these midot and what we should also be mindful of that we don't go too far. So if done properly, chesed shebechesed, in terms of its tikkun, it's when you give from fullness, not from a fear of being unloved, right? Sometimes uh, subconsciously we have these deep, deep, deep fears that we have and we may not even be cognizant of, and they drive and they motivate us to perform in certain kinds of ways. So this pure version of chesed shebechesed has nothing to do with those deeper insecurities. It does not come from that place at all. And the ultimate teaching principle, before refining love, first you must allow love to flow. So that's day one of chesed. Day two, gvura shebechesed, boundaries within loving kindness. Love that has structure, generosity that is sustainable, right? Sometimes if you engage in chesed too much, too fast, you can burn out. This is gvura shebechesed, is a sustainable loving kindness. Saying no, but without closing your heart. Differentiating between helping and enabling. So uh, I would say that an example of Gvura Shebechesed is some of us have relatives who we love dearly, who have made not so wise choices in their life. And they need help. They need help. And of course, their family, right? We're going to be there for them no matter what, no questions asked. We are going to be there for them. However, we also need to make sure not to enable them to go down a certain path that uh, ends up imprisoning them even more so, right? We don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be a part of the solution. So in our wisdom, we deploy gvura, a structure, a measured response of our love in order to truly help them and to not be part of the problem. But a distortion of this would be harshness disguised as discipline. Harshness disguised as discipline, right? So um, uh, uh, we know that feeling when there's a little bit of a cruelty that's sprinkled on, and somebody claims that they're doing it as a form of tough love, right? We can sense when that tough love really comes from a loving place, and when there's a little element of cruelty there, right? So we don't want to be harsh in Gvura Shebechesed. The tikkun, the repair, is strengthening love by giving it form, by giving it structure. And the teaching principle, unbounded loving kindness becomes chaos. Healthy restraint protects love. So again, Gevurah Shebechesed is a really, really beautiful form of loving kindness. Tiferet Shebechesed, harmony within loving kindness, of sort of balanced love. Compassion balanced with truth, softness infused with integrity, giving that considers timing, context, and impact. And this fourth point, emotional intelligence and generosity. I would say that Tiferet Shebechesed is probably the most, if you will, sophisticated expression of Chesed because it requires supreme emotional intelligence, because it synthesizes, integrates, and finds a harmony between Chesed Shebechesed and Gvura Shebechesed. It takes both of them, and again, it's all about timing, context, what your impact is going to be, right? So there are calculations that take place, but in a way that is on a very, very elevated way. And dare I say holy. Uh, I want to give a scenario of what Tiferet Shebechesed could be. So imagine a friend repeatedly complains about a relationship, but refuses to change anything. A pure chesed perspective is endlessly listening and validating. A more gvura response might be to say, stop complaining if you're not going to do anything. A tiferet response would be, I care about you and I can see that this is painful. At the same time, I notice the same patterns keep repeating. What do you think is keeping you stuck? So why does this work? Because you honor their feelings without reinforcing the pattern. Again, it takes a higher level of emotional intelligence to really, really be um, masterful in Tiferet Shebechesed. Distortion is performing kindness for validation. The tikkun is harmonizing the heart with wisdom. Emotional intelligence, wisdom, two sides of the same coin. The teaching principle, refined love is beautiful because it's balanced. Netzach shebechesed, endurance within loving kindness. Staying kind when it's inconvenient, maintaining generosity through difficulty, continuing to give without immediate reward, long-term loyalty in relationships. Uh, so this dynamic can be very helpful in the workplace. There's a book by economist Adam Grant called Give and Take, and essentially he provides three different profiles of employees in the workplace: givers, matchers, and takers. Nobody likes takers. Nobody likes a person that's self-serving, that will sacrifice your well-being for their own benefits. I think that's universally a universal understanding that nobody likes the takers. Most of us are matchers, right? How you relate to me is how I'm going to relate to you. If you're kind to me, we'll be cool. I'll be kind to you. If you're cruel to me, then you better understand that you and I are definitely not friends, right? Most of us are matchers. But then he explains there are givers. These are professionals, these are employees who really do give for the sake of giving. They don't have a political agenda. They're not doing it as a calculated chess move to progress their career. They're giving because it's the right thing to do, and it's very authentic for them to navigate the workplace in this kind of way. And so he explains in this book, through anecdote after anecdote after anecdote, that counterintuitively, because you would think I only have so much bandwidth, so much energy, so much time, so much resources to give to others in the workplace, right? I have a job to do. But he explains that those givers end up rising through the ranks in their organizations and end up doing very, very well professionally in their workplaces. It's a very counterintuitive understanding, and he makes a very convincing, incredible argument that to be a giver in the workplace is good for others, and it's good for you, and it's good for the organization. And for me personally, I would say that Netzach Shebechesed is one of the primary energies that is behind the development of the Omer Aliyah, right? This is a labor of love for me, and this is not something that I'm expecting to change the world through my own efforts, right? I'm simply a catalyst in Hashem's will to have this spread out far and wide. And God willing, I will have the strength based on chesed, based on love, to pursue this year after year, God willing, decade after decade, with more and more people, more and more organizations, understanding the journey that we all have the power to seize. And so for me, Netzach Shebechesed on a personal level deeply resonates. A distortion is martyrdom or burnout. A tikkun, um, a tikkun is loving kindness is rooted in purpose, not approval. Teaching principle, endurance love flows from connection to the source. I cannot stress how important that point is. Enduring love flows from connection to the source. We as human beings, we as Jews, are supremely limited. We only have so much energy to be able to tackle whatever we need to tackle in this world. However, if we recognize that true strength, true love stems from our connection to the divine, from our connection to the infinite, then it reframes the entire reality in which we live, in which we navigate, and we are able to accomplish things that don't make sense because we recognize that I'm not doing this on my own. I'm doing this because there's blessing coming from above that's flowing through me. And thank God I'm in alignment with the higher divine will. So we all want to be in that state. We all want to be in partnership with Hashem, where Netzach shebechesed is flowing through us. Hod shebechesed, humility within loving kindness. This is a sort of flexible love, yielding without losing yourself, listening before responding, letting someone else be right, softening the ego, especially in conflict. So I call this the peacemaker sphira. And one of the reasons is that the biblical archetype that represents Hod is Aaron, Moses' brother. He's the biblical archetype and symbolic representation of Hod, and he was known to be a peacemaker among the Jewish people in the desert, right? When there was conflict, he would find a way to bring them together. And so Hod is very much connected to that element as well. And you can see that when the character attributes listed in these bullet points very, very much supports that peacemaking approach to life. This dynamic is vital in healthy marriages. Hod shebechesed. A distortion is passive appeasement. The tikkun is to choose humility, right? Not collapse. And the teaching principle, the most beautiful love is adaptable. The most beautiful love is adaptable. So yes, when love and humility are infused together, you have Hod, Shebechesed. Sixth, we have Yesod Shebechesed, connection within loving kindness. This is a relational love, turning inner growth outward, being a bridge between people, sharing resources and support, making others feel seen and valued. A distortion is unhealthy attachment, dependency, emotional fusion. The tikkun is connecting without clinging. And the teaching principle, refined loving kindness builds connection, not dependency. And just a very quick short story. Uh, a number of weeks ago, I took my kids to Hollywood to volunteer to serve food and items to those who are either homeless or on the verge of being homeless. And there's a giant assembly line, and people were just kind of moving through, moving through, moving through. We saw people of all ages, all races, all ethnicities. Really, the gamut of humanity was there. And every time somebody was at our table and it was our turn to give to that person, we had a few moments with that person to make eye contact, to say a kind word, to lift them, to share resources, right? But again, it was a very temporary moment. But even though the moment was temporary, we were providing very real, tangible support that would last them however long it lasted them. And so I see that as a good kind of practical example of the Yesod Shebechesed, right? We're connecting, but there's no opportunity for clinging because we're not in relationship with them long term. There's no unhealthy attachment, but we're sharing resources, we're sharing support, we're being a very real human bridge and giving them a sense of integrity and self-worth. So this is an example of Yesod Shebechesed. And then finally, we have Malchut Shebechesed, sovereignty within loving kindness, love and service of the whole. This is living for the benefit of others, becoming a channel rather than a personality, understanding that forgiveness as the highest form of love, serving without needing recognition. A distortion of this would be self-erasure. Tikkun, the repair, is serving from strength, not from emptiness. The teaching principle, the highest loving kindness is generative, it empowers others. The Rambam, Maimonides, teaches that the highest form of tzedakah is helping someone to be financially stable and independent. Donating to specifically, donating anonymously and to, for example, Jewish Free Loan Association, right, an organization that exists to financially empower others to be independent, I think is a beautiful, tangible example of Malchut Shebechesed, right? You are being a channel. Um, you are empowering others. You're living for the benefit of others, right? Especially if you're doing so anonymously. It's a beautiful, beautiful, very real way of manifesting malchut shebechesed in this world. So again, the purpose of this is to take very high, lofty concepts that exist in Kabbalah in the most esoteric forms of Torah and to bring it down into this world in very practical ways through a journey and process of tikkun hamidot, of refining our character attributes in our everyday life. Okay. And then to conclude the seminar, I'm going to share a personal story of Chesed. So every year, I embark on a solo pilgrimage into the desert to prepare myself for the Omer Aliyah. On my first ever outing to the desert, right before the first Omer Aliyah, I had a tremendous spiritual experience and asked God to gift me something to remember this day. I found this beautifully shaped stick. To sanctify the experience, I adorned it with paint and feathers, and it's been used since then in many sacred gatherings with others as a sort of talking stick, where people share their innermost thoughts and feelings while holding it. And so I called it the Medaber stick. Medaber is the Hebrew word to speak, alluding to the inner voice we all have. And Midbar means desert, the same root word. In other words, if you listen carefully, God speaks through the desert. And for me, this medaber stick is absolutely sacred. I brought this stick in this year's pilgrimage, carrying it in my backpack and journeyed across a small mountain. While the hike was difficult, the stick remained safe. After the experience, I parked at home, made one wrong move in my garage, and the stick broke in half. I was devastated in that moment. During Yom Kippur, a couple years ago, Rabbi Timbosky, one of my rabbis and a past Omer Aliyah spiritual guide, introduced me to the idea of kintsugi, which literally means golden joinery. It's the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery using lacquer mixed with powdered gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, the repair highlights them, turning the break into part of the object's history and beauty. Kintsugi is often associated with the idea that damage and healing are part of the story, and seeing flaws as something that can make something more beautiful, not less. It's less about fixing something back to original and more about honoring what happened. Connected to kintsugi is wabi sabi, a Japanese philosophy finding beauty in imperfection and transience. Interestingly, there are 7 core principles in Wabi Sabi. We are not going to dive into them, don't worry. But I just want to share that considering this journey is about 7 weeks, 7 sfirot, and 7 midot. Going back to the medaber stick, I'm happy to share that Neely, my wife, lovingly and masterfully glued the 2 pieces back together. So, what are some of the lessons that I took away from this? Neely often fixes what I break, and on a deeper level, she is literally my tikkun, my cosmic repair in this world. Without her, I'm incomplete, full stop. Another lesson, my hike required extreme intention and focus with every step and every hand grip. One wrong move, I could slip, fall, and God forbid, break a bone. When I parked my car at home, my mind allowed myself to relax, forgetting about spatial awareness. Our homes are sanctuaries from the world, and we should feel at ease in them. But we must never forget that if we're not careful, literal and symbolic breaks can also happen there. Finally, my stick broke. There's no going back in time. But now I honor the break, its story, its lessons, and perhaps the biggest lesson being the fact that I get to share it now with all of you. This is a tremendous kindness, a tremendous chesed, all based on a higher perspective. So, as we come to the end of our time together, let's take a moment to reflect and recap on what we did here today. We didn't simply attend a class, we opened a journey. We spoke about the Omer Aliyah, the spiritual pathway between Egypt and Mount Sinai, an ancient 7-week corridor transformation. But this journey does not only exist in history, it exists inside of us. Each of us carries our own Egypt, places of constriction, distraction, fear, ego, habits that keep us from living fully aligned with who we really are. And the work of these 7 weeks is to methodically remove these layers, these klipot, so that the light already within can begin to illuminate more clearly. Tonight we begin with Chesed, loving kindness, not just kindness as a social behavior, but Chesed as a spiritual force, the force that created the world, the force that heals the world, and the force that allows us to become who we were always meant to be. In the meditation, we traveled back nearly 4,000 years to sit in the tent of Abraham and Sarah, the original architects of Chesed, and our loving grandparents. And what they asked us to do? Not perform, not impress, not achieve, but simply to ask a deep question. Where in my life do I need more loving kindness? Kindness in my relationships, in my work, in my body, in my mind, in my heart. And from that inner place, letting kindness begin to flow outward to our families, our communities, the Jewish people, and toward Hashem himself. We also explore the deeper structure of Chesed through the 7 Sfirot, the different ways loving kindness takes shape in our everyday life. Pure generosity, healthy boundaries, emotional intelligence, persistence, humility, connection, and ultimately malchut, leadership that empowers others. Because Chesed is not simply helping someone in the moment. It's helping them stand on their own feet. And finally, I shared a personal story from the desert, the breaking of the medaber stick, a moment that reminded me that breaks in our lives are not accidents, they're invitations. Just like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, and the philosophy of wabi-sabi that is connected to it, we don't hide the crack in shame. We elevate it to become part of the beauty of life, part of our story. And sometimes the greatest act of kindness we can practice is the kindness of holy perspective based on Torah Emet. To honor what has broken, to learn from it, and to allow it to make us more whole. Over the next 7 weeks, we are not trying to become perfect. We are trying to become more aligned, more honest, more refined, more connected to the light that is already inside of us. And if we walk this path sincerely, day by day, week by week, midah by midah, sphera by sphera, then when we arrive at Shavuot, God willing, we will not simply commemorate Sinai. We will stand there together again as individuals, as a people. Ki ish echad b'lev echad, as one person with one heart, ready to fully receive our mission and elevate the entire world. Thank you to those who tuned in. Please join us for the next empowerment seminar on Gevurah, Strength Through Restraint, with Rabbi Joey Rosenfeld, who will be patching in live from Jerusalem. One day at a time, one step at a time, together we climb.